Hello, everyone. My name is Bimbo David. On Conversations today, we talked about long distance marriages, the challenges that it poses on couples.
As a pastor, we've had to deal with cases of, husband is in Nigeria, wife is in Kenya, or wife is in Nigeria, husband is in United States of America, especially when it is prolonged, 7 years, 8 years, and all kinds of things begin to happen. So we want to just talk about it.
Well, it's not an easy step to take, and I know that it's peculiar to different couples, so we just want to just share about on that and this episode.
The truth is, I think Bimbo will help us a lot here because she's so endowed with God's wisdom
Really?
to help to admonish us. Because sometimes I wonder how people handle that, especially when you want to look at the real essence of marriage, for friendship, for companionship. I agree that there are times when husband and wife could be away from each other, maybe because of education, but when it appears like there's no end in sight to the situation, that gives me a lot of concern.
Especially if there are children also involved.
Yeah.
Because how do you reconcile, missing important events in your child's life, in your spouse's life? Yes, thank God for technology, thank God for, media devices and all, but it's like a time bomb sometimes, I think, waiting to explode when we have things like that, marriages like that, and like you said, there's no end in view. I remember I was talking to a couple close to us that are in that case, and one of the striking things he said is that if it is not necessary,
Okay.
except it is absolutely necessary, he would not advise it. And this was someone that is already there. So a lot of couples need to understand that it is not as easy as we think it is. Yes, you want to travel for whatever reasons. And I think that's where we should start from. Why are you traveling? Why are you actually leaving your country? Yes, there's education. After 2 years, you come back at least, or 3 years or 4 years at least. You can still endure like 4 years. You can still endure like 3 years. But when there is like, hey, and especially in our most of our situations, I don't want to say, let me just put it this way. Some of the people that travel, they are there, but their document is here.
Yeah,
So it's not easy because some people have that in view that, okay, when I travel, maybe when you start working, the company you're working for, they give you papers, and then it's easy for you to get your family there. But we all know that in most cases, 99.9% of the cases, it is
Yeah, I mean,
adopted.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to be asking Bimbo questions, and she should be answering us. because I remember I was dealing with a case some months ago where the husband and wife had been apart for 9 years. I don't like that. It pains me. And I was asking the wife, what is happening? He said the husband is still working on his documentation, and it's 9 years. You've not seen each other. So
9 years is a lot.
So they have children,
It's a lot. In 9 years, your child that you gave birth to has finished primary school, has entered secondary school. That is a lot. So we need to start, asking people. I don't know if I can do it. We can't. Are you ready to go through the consequences? Or the effect, let me say it as effect. The effect of having such a relationship. Except you can discipline yourself because there's sexual temptations involved. Sexual intimacies. There is bonding involved. Except you can actually categorically tell us or tell, that in spite of the distance, you are still very close. I know that some people can do it, but it's not easy. Do you know the sacrifice that you have to do? I mean, especially with time zone difference, you have to, when somebody's about to sleep, the other person is waking up. So the person has to wake up with you and maybe in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m., just to talk to you. It's so difficult. It's really difficult. And I know that's the situation for a lot of people, especially a lot of Nigerians that travel, Canada, UK, US, and all. But it's just the reality of what people
Now,
need
before
to
we talk
look at.
about those who are already in this situation now, I want to encourage a lot of our folks that are traveling this season. For those of us that from Nigeria, we know we have a peculiar situation, the economy, insecurity, it's alarming. Educational system is not encouraging, and people are really moving. We call it japa, in our parlance here, and a lot of young people are moving, young couples. I just want you to be conscious of this. Because sometimes people, in a bid to resolve a problem, they create another problems in the future, which can be more devastating. Conversations. Please think about your children. Think about your marriage. I'm a stickler for husband and wife
Being together.
Don't risk it. Don't assume that, okay, when I go there, this will just happen. Those kind of things are created all kinds of problems where the woman will have to take care of the children alone, or the man will have to take care of the children alone. Please, I know people are jackpying, and if you are preparing to jackpot, please, there's a future. Your marriage, your children, what are the plans? And then please, I'm not saying Nigeria is the best place to live in today. We are trusting that as elections come by, in 2023, we would have better leadership and the country will stabilize, But please, think well about the future. Many just jump and then they realize that maybe they've jumped too early or they've jumped wrongly, and then they now begin to pick the pieces of their lives over the decades. I don't think it should be like that. Sometimes I worry when you have been apart for that long, 9 years, even when you now come together, are you both still the same? How will there be a proper wielding of yourselves? Wouldn't it look like you just got married or you're marrying the wrong person, So I just want to say that for those who are jackpying this season. Because we have been tempted about jackpying. As pastors, we have some documents. The pressure is there. Even from family, relatives, some of our parents were saying, that it's easy to just tell people to make a move. But what about the consequences? Thank God for my pastor. He warned me before now. I don't know whether I think it was like a prophetic kind of thing. He just called me one day and said, be careful of this. Whatever would put you and your wife away from each other might not be the best things for you. Thank God he said that before those opportunities showed up, because the temptations are there. So I understand how people are grappling with that. But wise people
think of the
future, and not too wise people only live for the present.
Sure, but I want to ask, we are Christians, and I know a lot of Christians are watching. You hear some comments sometimes where people say, we are Christians. We will trust God. God will help us. God will, we know God, so how do we balance that, for Christians that talk about God in this situation?
Let's see. One of our pastors that left the country many years ago and was processing his documentation. Thank God he went with his family. I remember things were so tough, there was a temptation to take a shortcut. The shortcut of you lie, marry some, those things. And I said, no, I don't support that. Go through the process. It took them harrowing 4 or 5 years. Now they have their documents legally, as it were. And, that's better. I realized that in life, you can't build lie upon lie and have a great future.
Even when you claim to be a Christian. Yeah.
This is very sensitive. I know some people might fight me on this. You can't build lie on lie. Not lie. You build lies on lies. It compounds the problem. And you can't do faith on that. So this, I know God will just do it. It has to be mercy. My brutal truth is many that really see a great future and trust God genuinely will really need to take certain sacrificial steps to put things in order and then build from there. I hope somebody's heart can actually pick that. Believe me, because the future is not far. And thankfully, what the pandemic did was to democratize a lot of things. If the nation you are in now does not settle the matter, you can still go to another nation later. But you might need to rebuild. It's like saying, like we hear, a broken courtship is better
Better
than a
than
broken marriage. If you realize that I've done something wrong, this is not going to help, you project it. You might, I won't say the details of the kind of step you need to take. Someone might say, what is the meaning of that?
No, okay.
You will need to take a very sacrificial step, trusting in that same God. And I've seen people do that. I won't lie to you. You know, it's amazing. There's a lady in our church. She was in Canada, and something happened to her in our marriage. You know the story. Happened to her marriage. It was very bad. And the Holy Spirit said she should come back to Nigeria. She came back. She's a top manager now in one of the insurance companies. She's getting married in February. Now, if she wants to now go to another country or the same country, it's easy. The challenge with many people is they don't like to reverse. And I said to people, when you are in a shopping mall, you know, and you have parked your vehicle and you've bought your stuff, sometimes when you want to move forward, you know, you can't just drive forward because you're going to break the culvert. You understand? Most of the time you reverse.
Yeah.
And when you reverse, you have a clear way, and then you drive out. That you are reversing does not mean that you are getting worse. It's to get a clear, but many people don't, they see that, I can't go back, what will people say? That thing that you are saying, what people say,
it's
many more
costly.
things will be said in the next 20 years.
It's very costly. Very,
this is
very
hard.
costly. Yeah.
Very, very hard. There are other options. I've just said that's one of the options. But don't build lies upon lies and say you are trusting God. I'm not sure it works that way.
A lot of couples will have to do extra work. You can't live like others in that sense. Other couples that are together. You have to do extras. And a lot of people don't have the time to do those extra things. You know, apart from the sacrifice, that's very big sacrificial step. There are other things that you need to do. Like I said earlier, you would have to do more. You will have to wake up at times when other people are sleeping. You would have to ensure that you bond intentionally. And it's not easy to do that. So it's still some of the things that people have to wake up to, that this is where we are. If you're not there, be sure before you get there. And if you're there, like we said, we may not be able to say, okay, do this or do that, but sometimes the fear of being shamed, a lot of people have that fear of, if I do that reversal, that's, you know, okay, I need to reverse, but what will people say? You know, the truth of right now, it's not about what people will say. It's about it's about your life, honestly, because some people have lost lives because of this kind of thing. Some people have lost their marriages. So look at your priorities. What do you value? Is it about being there or having a home or having a bond or having a family? You know, so there are some things that we can't even afford to say things. What will people say? Yes, people will say, people will mock you, yes, but after 2 months or after 3 months, they will go back they will move on.
Maybe they will respect you, Seth.
In fact, yeah.
Now, let me give a practical another example, another option. I know a couple. They've been in the U.S. In fact, the husband and wife, they were there in the U.S. Okay, with their family. But the wife's document was not too good, but it looked okay. So she came to Nigeria for something, and on getting back, they stopped her at the entrance of at the border, and they saw the documentation. So, but thankfully for her, she had the Canadian document, so she just moved to Canada. If she didn't have the Canadian document, she would have been sent back to Nigeria. That was a true story. So she went to Canada. Now, and the husband was in US, and the children, guess what they did? Everybody had to move to Canada because of her, and they are now settled in Canada. You know, so some people can do that. If you feel the one in the country where you are can't work, you have to look for a neutral country where it's easier for your wife to come in, and then you can go there and then you bond and meet them. That's another option.
Yeah.
But to keep driving on an empty space, unlike yesteryears, many of these countries, European Union and the United States of America during Donald Trump's regime, a lot of those immigration laws are changing. Things are changing. So you look at it and make a decision for the future. And as Bimbo said, you actually need to do extra work. If you really place high premium, some people don't value anything. The husband is misbehaving there, the wife too is misbehaving here, and everything is just scattered. And they know this is scattered. Let's face it, they know it's scattered. They know it's scattered, but I know many that have high value for the marital future. No, let me not call it marital future, for the future. Because future is about your life being together, maritally, mentally, not that you have children all over the place. If that's what you want to do, they have to do extra work, praying for each other. We must thank God for technology. Take advantage of technology, the Zoom, the Google Meet, the WhatsApp video, and the just like all those reality shows. You can have a reality show in a whole day where you are both live and then you're watching each other for money.
People are being creative about how they do it.
Close.
I want to say also that I think we talked about the reason why people even leave in the first place. A lot of people, not all that glitters is gold. I think before, maybe I'm speaking to people that haven't even gone. Maybe you're thinking about, especially because you see things on social media. On social media, you see your friends. It looks like they're having a good time until you ask them what they're really going through. Because a lot of, honestly, to be very sincere, when you look at your colleagues and you see their pictures there, you get, me too, I want to go and have a good life. I want to have a better life, It happens. But make your findings. Ask questions. Because when you get there, you really know what is happening. And the truth of it also is that, yes, there's a better life. It seems like, it looks like a better life. But there's a process too. Some people don't want to go through the process of, bonding, especially if you are young couples. It will take a lot of work here. We have our issues in our country, but it's better to do it together than to go to another country where you don't have rights per se. You're not free per se.
Because of documentations and things like that.
So be sure of why you're going. Don't get into the rat race of comparisons, ungodly comparisons, because somebody else looks like is doing well. Don't get into that kind of rat race.
We have to define what doing well is all about. Doing well, thank God for the systems in the West. I cherish it. I desire it for our own nation. Is a place, but you have to also ask yourself other questions. Can you really stand the test of time in that place maritally? Can you stand it? Because there's also what we call culture shock. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when people travel, they just lose their life because they don't know how to live, because it's a different place entirely. I think we need to prepare people more for that kind of emigration and being aware, so that after some few years, you don't look back with regrets. Okay, I think, look at temptations, for instance. People that live with their own spouses get tempted. Now, I now imagine someone that's been away from his wife or husband for 9 years. How would they manage trust? How would they handle their bodies? I don't know. I think we have answered to that.
Right. As they that people have
because I think they say women are stronger than men. They say
stronger in what sense?
In dealing with temptations than men. That
no comments. But temptations are real, both for the men and for the women. It's the same. I don't
believe so.
It's the same. Women get tempted, men get tempted.
I don't believe so. You get tempted. Say it, oh.
Yes.
I have one shakabula upstairs. That's a joke.
Women get tempted with that.
I know. Lead us not into temptation.
So everybody gets tempted.
But some people get more tempted.
Where is that in the Bible?
Let me see. There's a place in the Bible.
Oh my gosh.
Like just I told Peter, watch and pray. He never told Mary and Martha, watch and pray. Lest you fall to temptation. It was Peter. So, man,
Peter was sleeping. He sleep that
it's the same thing, no? Sorry, it's the same thing. Conversations. Anyway, so I don't know, and I also believe that each person's situation is peculiar. They depend on,
yes.
Many didn't plan it like that. It just happens.
It happens, especially with work. I know a lot of people that, travel because not even school, they get maybe on LinkedIn and they get a job offer and they have to go, which is good. However, put things in place.
For them to come together.
Fine, don't just Especially with, even, okay, let me take it to another level, another dimension, where if it's a woman that has been oppressed in her marriage here and has an opportunity to travel, maybe a work opportunity, and goes, it's legal, it's nice, and she has her papers. However, because the like you said, culture shock and, policies are different. So if a woman finds herself in that situation, it almost looks like, praise God, I am free from this person that has been oppressing me. So it's important that we all look at our peculiar situations and deal.
No, we've had cases where some people tricked the other person to escape.
Not even tricked. Yeah.
It looked like, that's a job, I'm going, just want to escape the man or the woman.
And then they block the person from coming.
Yeah,
they can report the person.
Like
it happens. So it's peculiar to everyone. However, understand the effect, the consequences of what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Yeah,
in life, this is, as I said earlier, it's hard. We all would have to take very, very sacrificial steps to get our lives in order. Many of us have done it academically. When you had a problem, maybe with your school, and you had to close your eyes and recite for an exam from the scratch so you can get an education. Some of us have had to do it with even relationships that you realize that this wasn't going to go anywhere and you had to break up, just so that you don't deceive yourself. I believe at various times in our lives, people need to, if they value the future well and see that this is not the best, whatever that sacrificial step now means, you will be able to evaluate it and rebuild. But I feel each person should evaluate that.
I was just remembering my own situation. It was not even a long distance. It was long distance relationship.
Okay. When was that?
It didn't work out.
That's fine. So God be the glory for that.
You just brought back the memories of this long distance something.
Me too, I had one, I've forgotten.
Which one?
The London one.
Oh, okay.
Yes, now that I will send letter to somebody in London that I was in a relationship with, when in courtship. I will send letter in February, and then I will receive a letter in June, thinking it's a letter from my fiancé. And it was a letter I sent in February that returned to me because of whatever postal problems. So it happened, but thank God. So I mean, let's see how we evaluate and make the best of decisions. It's my prayer that we all have a future that is better than our past.
Man.
It's also my prayer that in a bid for us to resolve, I mean, it might sound religious to you. That's what happened to Isaac when there was a crisis of famine. He wanted to just run, and God said, calm down, stay where you are.
Yeah.
I will sort you out. So sometimes in a bid to resolve a problem, we create more problems unknowingly. But there's also a way out and a way forward.
Yeah.
And God will help us to resolving that. We hope this makes some sense and adds value to you. Like and share these videos, watch it again and again, and maybe you should send it to some friends to help and encourage them as much as possible. Bimbo and I will be up again next edition. See you next time.
Bye.
Have a beautiful week. Bye.